Hello everyone! I've just finished ELF Live, so go check that out. I was on my own for this one, so you might have to deal with me rambling on a little bit, talking a bit too fast in my thick English accent, and then getting a little bit overzealous about player evaluation. But if you're interested, I'll leave that linked in the description. If you missed the stream, Ricardo again very kindly made a clips part. It's about an hour long, but you can skip through and see whatever bit you want to find of the whole like 7 hour stream, or at least of the game versus Cologne and Frankfurt, which was the best game of the ELF, and we'll get to that. Power rankings. Monday we do power rankings, and there's not been a crazy amount of movement here, I won't lie, but there's been a little bit of shuffling around. Let's just dive straight into it. At number 17, we've got the Barcelona Dragons. Kind of expected. They didn't play. I don't think it's too hot of a take to have them down at 17. Prague at 16. They did well in the first quarter. Kind of about it. They did struggle. They got beaten by Munich quite handedly. Chad Jeffries had one of his most efficient performances. He is a very efficient quarterback, so he did very well. Run game, this is Thomas was coming back out party. Like, he was being injured this season. Has dealt with like small bits here and there, bigger like injuries here and there as well. And he was fully back healthy. They've been trying to wean him in, I think, a little bit. But these easier scheduled games, they've been trying to just ease him back into it. But we'll get into that with the Ravens in a minute. Prague, though, offensive line's still an issue. Perkins, I like Perkins, man. He does well. Like, he does very well in positions that you really shouldn't have. He threw an absolute fucking bomb to Fields Jackson, which was a great throw. He used Cadlet a little bit. But they haven't protected him at all, and the run game has been awful. I still don't know why they have an E running back when the offensive line is such an issue. I know signing deadline is done. Like, there's no chance they're going to get anyone new in because the signing deadline's over. But, like, you know, is that really needed? The offensive line, and it's only one registered sack on the ELF Live, on the ELF stats. The pressure was there. Perkins was running for his fucking life. He had to take off 12 times overall. Some of them being designed runs, but they just couldn't really get anything going. Defensively, they got torched, to be frank. One sack in the day by James Brooks, who is one of the better defensive linemen in the league. Couldn't break up the passes against Munich at all. And I just said about how Chad had one of the most efficient performances of the season, probably. He didn't really look like he ever needed to change gears. Out of second, maybe even first. Like 7-7 in the first quarter, and then he scored 20 in the second and the third. Prague got kind of dismantled, and then the game got called off at the end because of really bad rain. So they remain at 16. Long-winded way to say last, apart from Barcelona. Milan at 15. They had a little bit of spark when they won a couple of games, and since then it's just been awful. Like, they were absolutely dismantled against the Surge. Like, defensively, they got fucked. First quarter, 28 points allowed. Second quarter, 17 points allowed. Riley got hurt, ended up leaving the game, but Salem wasn't a very good passer at all. I said I was worried about him coming into this team, and it seems as if I was right to be concerned. He had a lot on the ground. He had 101 on the ground, but he was just getting blasted. Wasn't making very good decisions. Making a lot of off-platform throws that fell short. Like, it was a lot of the same stuff that we saw with Lugano, and a lot of stuff I was worried about. Defensively, they had a few moments. Like, they had 9 penalties as well. They lost 3 fumbles under a pick. Like, they were just bad. Like, Milan were just really bad in kind of all phases of the game. They had a touchdown late on special teams, which I'll give them credit for, but that was more of like Serge's mistakes rather than Milan's really good play. But they fall into just kind of obscurity. Moving down one is Helvetic. Now, because they lost against Vienna, it's not because of the amount they lost to. It was the fact that it was really close in the first game, and then they got obliterated, and were only able to put up 3 points in the end when it was over. Ben Holmes torched them. Clayton didn't have his best of games. The run game is non-existent. I think the offensive line kind of took a little bit of a step back this week. Like, I was watching it. They only made the red zone twice. They only scored one of them. They conceded every single time they got into the red zone. They conceded, which is kind of Ben Holmes' specialities. I've said over the last couple of weeks. Robinson was getting doubled. Spillo couldn't get in the game. only 24 yards for him. I said I think I'm going to struggle to see him get over 1,000 yards, which is unfortunate. But defensively, nothing really, and this is a good defense. It just got torched from start to finish. They started slowly, both teams do. Vienna always do, when it comes to passing especially. But then Kerry was running through him. Just with ease, 150 and 2 for him, and 2 100-yard receivers, and multiple players with sacks. Wappel got another 2 sacks, and Misenko Makumi got another sack, and Schaefer got, what, half of one. Talitza got involved as well. Like, they were just getting mauled. Moving up one, although they didn't play, just because they didn't get mauled this week, and I took a lot from that Helvetic loss, and I've bumped for Hervar up one. So they're just going to be there. Although they haven't played, they didn't have an opportunity to lose. Hamburg got fucked up. Lack of a better word, they got fucked up. I don't think Fulford's the guy. And I said about this on stream. When Duncan gets released from Wrocław and then Madrid bring him in because of the injuries to Helbig, I can see why they brought in Duncan, because he had a really good week 1, and then they saw something in him that make him bring him in to the team. With Fulford, who got cut in not a similar situation, but not a dissimilar situation, he didn't show much in the Raiders Tyrrell. And they bring him in to replace a quarterback that was doing fine. Like, he wasn't lighting the world on fire. Jaron Smith wasn't elite, but he was kind of safer with the ball. And Fulford has been reckless. 3 interceptions on the day for him. 2 of them to Pablo Ray, who I will use as a thumbnail. I fucking told everyone how good he was. I'll leave a link in the description. So people probably aren't going to... Like, if you don't know how good Pablo Ray is, he's one of the best homegrown safeties. One of the best safeties in the league. Leave a link in the description to his breakdown. The whole video on him a month or so ago. Forced fumble for him, 2 picks. Dominant game overall by the Bravos defense. And we'll talk about them in a minute. But, like, I just want to get the Pablo plug in early. Hamburg didn't get anything started in the passing game. They got a little bit started in the run game. But, again, it's just questionable they have an E there in the first place. When you have Hartson Canido who's having a decent season. I've said I want to see a bit more consistency of them. We saw a little bit more of that in this game. Of just being able to have more than 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, 50 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, 1 yard, 50 yard. You know, we want to see a bit more consistency. We saw a little bit of that. They only scored 9 in the first half. And then they never scored again. They really did struggle with turnovers, of course, with those 3 picks. And it's just hard to win a game with 3 picks. And all of them were pretty questionable. Some of them were unlucky. Like the one that bounced off the head of Vera was unfortunate that happened, but still it happened. Wrocław at 11 didn't play, so don't move. Frankfurt. They could have won this game. Easily could have won this game. They were winning in 2 of the quarters of the 3 to start the game. They had a 21-point lead. McKay did well. I want to make that clear. McKay did very well. He picked apart zone. I talked about this in the LF Live just a minute ago. How good he was at picking apart the Cologne Centurions defense. Sandro started amazingly well. Like amazingly well. Did super well. They didn't really play much in the second half at all. I don't really know why. Kay did good. Got 97 yards and a touchdown. Markel Castle did good. Also, Sandro caught 50 in the air and got a touchdown with that weird screen. Not really a screen because it wasn't planned like that, but it still worked out to be a good screen. They took their foot off the gas and they just got fucked in that fourth quarter. And we'll get to Cologne now, actually, because Cologne are my number 9. So we'll just talk about them at the same time because they played the same game. Weed was phenomenal. A really good bounce back game from his game against Madrid where he was awful. I'm going to be frank. Not going to beat around the bush. And then he came in and just lit up a Galaxy defense. Like, he was torching them on the ground. He only had like 3 yards, but like I feel like he got more. He was rolling out so much. I think it also felt like he got more yards running, but he didn't. He was just rolling out and finding people downfield. The fucking receivers for Cologne. Oh my god. Carlos Hill was amazing. 205 yards and 2 touchdowns, and also a passing touchdown. He was my MVP of the week, as I've voted for in ELF Live. You can check out the description. But Lorex, Bofenda, Frolich, all deserve an immense amount of credit. And not necessarily stats-wise. Lurk's got 98 and 1, which is good. But Fender got 43, Foley got 35 and 1. But the importance of some of these plays, especially in the third and fourth quarter, were just incredible. Fourth quarter, they scored 17 points. And then they went on and won in overtime. I'm not sure if that counts in the fourth quarter. I'm not sure. The stats haven't got like an overtime part. But they look so efficient. They look so good. This isn't something we've seen from them. Frankfurt crumbled. They took out Sandro. I don't know. Some people said about his contract. I doubt that's got anything to do with it. Like, it's just, it was mind-boggling how they let this slip away from the biggest deficit overcome in ELF history for Cologne Centurions. They did the double over Frankfurt this season. Can you believe that? Believe that. McKay has got a boogie team and it's Cologne. So they come in at 9-10. Absolutely outstanding performance from Cologne. Probably the best game I've ever seen in ELF. Like, it really was. It was that good. Number 9, Berlin. Speaking of letting things go and really just losing the game for yourself, to be honest. Like, they were winning the game at halftime. They were up. They won the first quarter. They won the second quarter. They won the third quarter. They won 3 of the 4 quarters. But holy fuck, they came out slow in that third quarter. And they just got railed. And that's what lost them this game. They were winning 3 of the 4 quarters. Let's talk about them first, because otherwise it's going to explode. Sullivan, fine game. A few mistakes, I think, but overall a good game. The interception was right at the end of the game, trying to force it, literally last pass of the game. So I won't get on him too much about an interception. Run game, although it has low run game numbers, a lot of those Sullivan passes were basically runs, because they were just like short shovel passes and such to Albert and to Jackson a couple times. But, like, Jackson had a good game, but he ended up fumbling the ball twice, which I think ultimately lost him this game. Koyunda had a really good game. Defensively, naturally Kitchens is going to be one of the best players in the game whenever he is on. Like, he was outstanding again. That's unsportsmanlike penalty, and I've talked about in the LF Live. 4th and 1, you give up the field goal. They kick the field goal, you get an unsportsmanlike conduct. You get 58, you gave him a first down on a 1, which is ridiculous. Really just undisciplined. You get luck, let's be real. We got lucky. Kitchens made an unbelievably good play on Edwards to force the fumble out. You got gifted that. Like, they got allowed off of that. They get the ball back, and then they fumble. And then they get the ball back after they concede. And then they fumble. Like, that third quarter was the biggest blown win I've ever seen. Ever. Like, in the fourth, they looked fine. The fourth, they kind of got their shit together. They scored early in the fourth. Like, I think it was like literally the first play of the fourth quarter they scored. But why were they so bad in the third? I don't get it. They came out so slow. I was on stream screaming. I know this is probably just going to be like me ranting for like 10 minutes about how much Berlin confused me. I use the analogy of like, going out, you have a great day with your family. Yes, that's your first and second. You wake up, you have a great breakfast, a full English breakfast with no black pudding. That's your first quarter. You meet your girlfriend and your family, you have a great day out. That's your second quarter. And in your third and fourth quarter, you get all your family get wiped out in a train accident or a plane accident or whatever. And then your fourth quarter, you find $10 on the floor. That's what happened in this game. It was weird. They had opportunities to win this, and it really was annoying that they didn't push through. They really didn't. We'll get to Paris in a minute. But number 7, falling 1 spot is Raiders Tyrrell. I don't usually make teams fall for losing 1, but moving up 1 is Munich, because they did put on a good performance against Prague. They conceded 14 points, but first quarter Prague is its own thing. I think Chad looked really efficient. Their defense did do a good job. Like, overall, they stopped the run well. They largely stopped the pass, and they had a ton of pressure coming off the edge. So, I am going to bump them up 1. And sometimes that reward for beating on bad teams. But I think we finally have seen now, with Tomawa's entrance back into this team as a full-time guy, is that their offense is caught up to their defense. Their defense is caught up to their offense. They're kind of flying. I think they are the favorite currently over the Tyrrell Raiders to get into the playoffs. I'm sorry, Ricardo, but I had to say it. I do think they are the favorite. Tomo will look great. I think the play calling was really good too. They weren't afraid to run on the first down. For some reason, teams seem to be really scared of running on first down at the moment. Or first and 1 or first and 2, they think, oh, well, we'll do a play action, and they get sacked. We saw that with Paris, with Zach's fumble. For first and 1, you could just run the ball out. We've got power backs. They didn't, and they lost the ball. So I think it was good that they did that. Tomo only got 7 touches in the rushing, but still got 3 touchdowns because of goal line situations. It was amazing in the receiving game with 114 yards and another touchdown. Those swing passes, I mentioned that last week with Munich, is those swing passes will work in a dream, and I think we'll see a lot more of that coming throughout the year. I think that's been massively important for him. Number 5, Paris. Now I've just talked about the blown leads of Berlin. And for Paris, that's not good enough. Like, they had a lot to be happy about. I'll start with the negativity first. You won't be able to do that against Rhein, Surge, Vienna, Madrid. Any of those top 5 teams, or, top 4 mix of teams. You can't do that. You can't lose all 3 quarters and win quite often. So, that's the negative. The good parts is that Zach Edwards had a great game. Of course, he fumbled the ball, but he had an amazing game. 22-28 completion rate. Had 352 yards in the air and 6 touchdowns. Also 56 on the ground. Got sacked a couple more times in this one though. Also fumbled the ball on the goal line. So he's not in my MVP watch, but he did do very well. Mitchell had another breakout game. Had that real high against Hamburg at the start of the year. Kind of quieting down a little bit. This was him back up at peak. He was amazing. Absolutely outstanding. Taking down a good game. Saw Mahonwu sight in. Finally. He's been injured. It's actually a travesty and a devastation to me that he's injured. Even this year on Paris, I really thought it could have been something special. Unfortunately, he's been hurt. Defensively, in that third quarter, they did really well. The third quarter, they did really well, but they weren't great. They didn't. And granted, they got injuries at defensive back. And to be honest, their whole team, I'm very aware of that. I don't think I have exactly who did and didn't play, but I don't recall seeing Beard. I don't recall seeing Gangmark Heath. Those are 2 amazing players. So I don't know if they played or not, but I don't think they did from what I can recall from just me off the flyer. They let a good comeback. I think they can be proud of that. They scored a lot of points and they outscored Berlin and they walk away with another win, which is important for them. Number 4 is Madrid. Now they beat the fuck out of Hamburg, which I usually reward for bad teams, but Duncan looked good. He hit it rather efficiently to a pick, but not too bad. Molina has continued to express to the fans that he is a good second option for Obi, who was out for this game, which is important to note. He scored 2 touchdowns. Matias was started the show. 8 catches, 212 yards, 3 touchdowns. Was magnificent. I put my evaluation of Matias during the watch along in the Discord chat. If you want to go into the Discord chat, I'll leave the link in the description. I put the eval of him. It was kind of, some of it was spot on how he did it, but those underneath routes. He's big, he's physical. He actually was effective a lot more in the deep than I thought he would be, in this game especially. He had an outstanding game, he really was special. Araya was fan-fucking-tastic, and I just talked about him a lot. Also, Marquise Manning got a pick, so well done to him. And they just balled out. Boye got a pick as well. Like, the defense was just special, and they've had injuries. Alejandro hasn't played a snap this season. They've had a couple of guys start the season go down injured, which was a shame. But this was a real dominant win without some key pieces. They looked really, really good defensively. They looked really good offensively. They showed. I've been talking about the second receiver they don't have that's established themselves as our number 2. Hopefully that's sorted now. If Manchester can be the number 2 receiver, then great. Mario Flores is a great third. Like, one of those had to break out in order to be a playoff contender. And that matchup with Paris can be incredibly interesting. At number 3, Vienna is my number 3. They were good. They were really good. They started slow again. But Ben Holmes finished his drives the way he does. 5 touchdowns for him. Kerry got 2. Run game was well over 200 yards, 235 to be precise. Holmes did well. They had backups in it at the end of the game. Horn had another good game. Torre had another good game. Just made my video on him if you want to go check that out and how good he is doing in this season. Beer Obama, another touchdown. Wasn't necessarily as involved as we might think of this season, but it was an easy win. Defensively, they clutched up. They only allowed 3, and it was at the end of the game, so that was when all the backups were in. They were really efficient. They didn't turn the ball over. They were just good. They were just a really solid, sound, conservative, safe win. Not really much else you can say about it. But they haven't beaten a very good team yet, so they remain at 3. And number 2, we've got a change. We got a Ryan Fire. Didn't play. That squeak is crazy. They didn't play. And who did play was the Surge at number 1, who they beat Milan, which aren't a good team, and I know I just said the same shit about them with the fucking Vikings. But the Surge fucked up Milan on defense. Their defense has been one of the best things all season. Their rushing game was 149 yards they got rushing, but it was so spread out. They literally, and then Riley got a big rush himself. Yannick Meyer did amazing. Guy had a quieter game, so did Stewart, but Guy still got 2 touchdowns. Also, single season record for Guy. Congratulations, well done, man. Great job. Cesar Giovanni was one of the best players of the week. He got 1.5 sacks, a touchdown, 2 fumble recoveries, one of which was nearly for a touchdown, but not quite. They had they just dominated. They just really did. Wilson got another pick. He's been a fucking revelation. Fettig continues to be one of the best players in the league. They had 8 trips into the end zone. 8 trips into the red zone. Made all of them. They did throw a pick. Heinrich threw a pick, which wasn't great, but that's just while Riley was healing himself up. It wasn't like the craziest performance I've ever seen Surge do, but they continued to show why they're an elite team. They put like 40 fucking points, over 40 points on Milan in the first quarter. If they wanted to, they could have scored 100. I'm like 100% convinced they could have done that. Crawford and Salem gave a little bit of trouble on the ground, but by then it was way too late. I don't think it was really much to it. But Stuttgart will be my number 1. So let's do a quick roundup real quick. Then we'll actually do a little bit of playoff picture thing, because I talked about in the LF Live and it's interesting. So, 17, Barcelona didn't play. Prague got shit stomped, so they fall into, well, they remain at 16. Milan at 15 got beaten up. Helvetic got beaten up badly, so they moved down 1. Verify didn't play, so they moved up 1 because they didn't get beat. Hamburg, awful performance. Warschau didn't play. Frankfurt blew a fucking massive lead. Cologne went, and I think some people would argue that Berlin below Cologne, but I personally wouldn't. Cologne came back, did really well. Carlos Hill and Isaiah, we legalized it, baby. Did amazing. Of course. Like, we were so good in that game. I don't think I really touched that. Watch my ELF Live, in my opinion, on that. Berlin should have won the game. They really let it go at the end. Or the third, rather. Honestly, just getting riled up about it again. Raiders didn't play. Munich did good enough for me to put them above the Raiders. Paris disappointed a little bit because they were losing majority of that game. Like I said, they lost 3 quarters. They won the one that mattered, I guess, but not great. So they moved down. Madrid moved up because they fixed all the issues I had concerns about. So they move up to 4. Vienna at 3. Routine Vienna performance. 5 didn't play. Surge and number 1, who take a very dominant win. Now, very quickly, just while we finish up, I mentioned this on the LF Live, but if you don't watch the LF Live and you only watch this channel, which I believe is probably no one, but 3 teams have currently got the playoffs, which is Vienna, Rhein, and Stuttgart. That's the only 3 teams that have guaranteed to make the playoffs. That's it. The Raiders, the Bravos, Paris, they're not guaranteed to make playoffs. In the hunt, we have Munich, we have Warschau, we have Centurions, and we have Berlin. So that is wild that Berlin can still technically make the playoffs. I don't have you the exact reasons of how they could and couldn't, but that's it. That's pretty mental, I thought. So, thank you very much for tuning in. This one's been another good one. A little bit long, because I just had some stuff to talk about. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, man. This was a good one to make and very fun as always. And check out all the links in the description. Check out the Discord chat, the Araya video, the Tory video, the stream highlights, ELF live. Fuck it. Just go through all of them and see which ones you like and dislike and tell me about it. Leave a comment, you know, like I talk to everyone in the comment sections every time, or message me privately on Instagram or Twitter. I respond to all of them when I can. Tomorrow we did how-tos and week previews. I'm gonna have a shorts out on Wednesday. The Spiller video will officially start studying on Wednesday as well, so it should be good. Pleasure. See you soon. See you next time. See you tomorrow. Ta-ra. Goodbye. Stay sharp. See you later.